I never believed in ghosts in the slightest. But now I do, and this is the story of how it happened. About 2 years ago, I was working part-time at a convenience store. The convenience store closed at 2300, which was in the countryside. Actually, it was not because there were not many customers, but because there were many complaints from the neighbors. That day, I and Sato, a junior employee, were both working at the convenience store at 10:45 p.m. We were both thinking, should we close soon? I said to him, I should close soon. I want to re-jump, so let's close the store early. The closing time was 2300, but we had a rule that the time card was to be pressed at 23:30. So we always prepared to close early and passed the time by reading manga. On that day, we checked the sales, paid the vending machine bill, and finished washing the dishes in a hurry. It was exactly 2300. We locked the door, turned off the lights, and started reading manga in the back. At that time, a chime rang. The one you hear when you enter a convenience store. Someone's here, Sato, go check on him. Roger that. I sent Sato to take a look and set up a surveillance monitor at the entrance. The surveillance monitor is a TV that shows the images from the multiple surveillance cameras in the store. Surveillance monitors show the images from multiple surveillance cameras in the store on a TV set. In this case, the monitor was set to show only the camera at the entrance. I looked at the surveillance monitors and saw a woman standing there. I could see that she had long hair and was wearing a white one-piece dress, but I could not make out her face. Sato, who had gone to check on her, came into the monitor. Sato looked around lightly outside the entrance and then came back to me. He came back to us after a quick look around outside the entrance. You should have unlocked the door to handle a situation like that. This convenience store often receives customers even after it closes. They probably don't expect the store to close at 2300. Therefore, this kind of case happened frequently, and each time I apologized to the customer and asked him to leave. It gets complicated because it's after the cash register is closed and the bill is settled. So, as a senior staff member, I gave a warning to Sato, who had just seen what was going on and left. He said, "What?" I looked outside, but nobody was there. No, there was a woman there. I saw her on the monitor. Really? I saw her on the monitor. I was standing right in front of the door and couldn't see her, you son of a bitch. I thought, oh, well, he's a good-natured guy. And he's the type of guy who would just ignore a mistake even if you pointed it out to him. Oh, well, okay. We set the surveillance monitor back to forward, and we read the manga again. Minus 10 minutes elapsed. I glanced at my watch. The time was 23:15. 15 minutes to go. I wonder if I can read it. I wonder if I can read it in 15 minutes. I looked at the monitor and saw that the monitor was showing the alcohol section. Then, the screen switched to the weekly magazine section. Then, the woman from earlier was standing outside the store, behind the glass in front of the weekly magazine corner. She seemed to be looking this way, at the surveillance camera. It was creepy because I had the feeling that she was looking at me through the surveillance camera, rather than the surveillance camera. The next moment the screen switched to the lunchbox corner. Hey, there was that woman outside earlier. I was just looking at her. I'll go check it out. At this point, I thought she was just a mere looky-loo or a little bit weirdo. Just as I was about to get up. Elder. Wait. Hey, 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 monitor. Monitor. I looked at the monitor and saw that it was showing the candy corner. But there stood the woman who had been outside the store earlier, this time with her back to the camera. What? What? Sato was panicking. It was no wonder. The door was definitely locked, and there was no sound of the key being jimmied out of the lock. The actuality that the key was there is near to impossible. Oh, calm down. I fixed the monitor in that candy corner. The woman was still motionless. Then, I heard a phone ring. The phone rang. Sato and I looked at the phone with a start. The phone stopped ringing after about 2 calls. I looked at the monitor and saw that the woman was not there. I panicked and switched the button to the monitor. I rushed to press the button to switch the monitor. P. Weekly magazine corner is clear. Sweets corner is clear. B. Alcoholic beverage corner is clear. P. The counter is clear. There he is, inside the counter, standing with his back turned. Elder is getting closer. I already had a feeling that he was definitely not human at this point. To be honest, in my heart I was more panicked than Sato. I had been frequenting the occult boards of 2 Chainz because I don't believe in ghosts, but I had no idea that I would run into one myself. The woman was still standing with her back to me. What are you going to do? What do you mean, Elder? Do something about it. Or dash out the opposite door. There are 2 entrances to the back where we are now, one from the counter and the other from the back door located across from the counter. But even if we go out through the opposite door, we have to go through the store and unlock the entrance to get out. That's when you run into the woman, which is dangerous. Just when I was thinking such thoughts as Sato shouted. I looked at the monitor and saw that his body was facing away from me. But only his face was turned 180 degrees to look at the camera. His mouth seemed to be smiling. Exclamation. I couldn't speak, but I honestly thought I was going to burst. The woman was still looking at me in an unnatural way. Sato turned off the monitor in a half-frenzy. Let's Shiba him and get out of here. Sato panicked. He was in a panic. I'm going to dash out the back as fast as I can. To be honest, at the time, I thought we were going to meet the woman before we unlocked the door. And that we were going to die somehow. I thought ghosts were imaginary, and now they were right there. I picked up the key, and just then, the monitor turned on by itself. What appeared on the screen was a close-up of a woman. Her face was not smiling at all, it was so expressionless that it was even scarier than before. Her skin was whitish, or maybe she had the complexion of a dead person, but her eyes were so beautiful. I felt like I was being sucked in. I saw her eyes move, I saw her. Oh, I saw Sato's eyes too. I wonder how the camera near the ceiling caught his face. I was thinking about such a useless thing in a moment, like a running light. I was so terrified and surprised that for some reason I was calm. Oh, yes, Sato. They're going to kill me. Sato ran to the back door, delirious. Wait. Sato made a mad dash for the back door and put his hand on the doorknob. Sato screamed and fell down on the spot. Oh. Hey. Sato. I ran to Sato, who was unconscious. I held his head and tried to wake him up, but he did not respond. I looked at the door. Oh my gosh. I knew what Sato saw. A woman is looking at me through the window of the door. She was smiling like a fool too. This square window on the door is a magic mirror, I thought about it later. so it should look like a mirror from inside the store. Along with my fear, I was filled with anger. Why do I have to go through this? What the hell are you doing? What do you want? Get the hell away from me! I shouted with all my might, gathering all my courage. Then, the woman who had been laughing stopped laughing. And then, she turned a frightening glare on me for a moment, and quickly walked away from the window. I was relieved. A violent noise came from inside the store, the sound of a shelf collapsing. Did I make him angry? I sat down beside Sato, rattled and shaking. To be honest, I felt like I was going to lose my mind. I don't know how long it had been, maybe a minute or so, but the noise had stopped. I tried to get up. I tried to stand up. At that time, I heard. I tried to get up. The phone started ringing. It never stopped ringing. I hesitated to pick it up. When the phone rang earlier, it was an unnatural call that distracted us from the monitor. And just when I thought it was quiet, here it is, too well timed. But whatever now, I picked up the phone with that feeling. Hello. Quote, quote. Hello. Quote, quote. I was sure. Quick. Get the hell out of here. Did he speak? Oh, shit. At that moment, all thoughts in my head stopped. Voices. Voices. Not just from the receiver. Right. From behind me. I slowly turn around. There was a woman's face staring at me with an unearthly expression, while emitting a creepy laugh. I fainted. Hey! Wake up! Elder! Wake up! Someone called me and I slowly got up. There they were, Sato and the manager. The time was 4:50 a.m. The manager must have come to work because the store opens at 6 o'clock. I wondered to myself how long I had been out of it. What happened? Why is the whole store like that? The manager looked surprised and angry. Sato, didn't you tell the manager what happened? Yes, I still can't believe it. Please tell him from your senior. As expected, Sato was depressed. I told the manager the whole story. If you look at the surveillance cameras. No, let's not do that. Sato shouted. I don't want to see his face again. So I just told him to watch from 2300 and waited with Sato outside the restaurant to cool off. 20 minutes later. Sato. XXX me. Come in. The manager said. The woman you guys were talking about wasn't on the screen. But the shelves just fell down by themselves. It looks like he's not lying. No woman? But I'm not so hard-headed that I don't believe in this kind of thing at all. In fact, the shelves fell down on their own, so I can't not believe you guys. Apparently, the manager believed him, too. I'm going to call everyone and see if there's anyone who can help me clean up. Also, don't tell anyone about this. I'll get rid of the video, don't worry, I'll just make it up as I go along. All right. Shall we go home, Sato? Yes. Yes. Oh, watch out. Forget about it already. We went outside. It was after 5 o'clock, but the sky was still dark because it was winter. Sato, I'll give you a lift, take a ride. Sato walks about 10 minutes to get there, but I knew he must be feeling a bit nervous, so I put him in the car. Yeah, of course I was scared too. Well, there is no point in dwelling on it forever. The right thing to do is to forget about it once and for all. I told myself emphatically and got into the car. All right. Let's go home. Sato. Sato opened his mouth wide and looked inside the store with his eyes wide open. Oh, Sato. I slowly turned around and looked inside the store. The manager was starting to clean up, and behind him was. I turned on the engine and started the car as fast as light. Sato was silent the whole time. I dropped Sato off, came home, and collapsed into bed. XXX. How long are you sleeping? It's past noon, don't you have class? I heard my mother's voice. It was just before 1 p.m. I must have slept a long time. Oh, yes, I had something I had to do. I have to call the manager to make sure she's okay, and also tell her that I'm quitting my part-time job. As expected, I can't continue. I made a phone call. Hello, this is XXX. Oh, how's it going? Did you get some sleep and feel better? Yeah, well, did anything happen since then? What? Oh, it's alright, nothing happened. I felt something strange in the tone of the manager's speech, but I did not dare to mention it. So, manager, you're a part-timer, and I'd like to quit. What, you too? Sato called me just a few minutes ago and said he was quitting too. Apparently, Sato was thinking the same thing. I was asked to come to the store once and talk to them because I was the part-time leader, but I refused. I didn't want to go to that store anymore. I never went to the store again. By the way, a month after we quit, the store went out of business. I asked one of the part-timers about it, and he told me that it was due to poor business performance. I was still concerned, so I contacted the manager. I told the part-timers that it was a business slump, but in fact it was not. I asked why, but the manager didn't want to say. I think it was probably because of the woman. The convenience store is still there. The land may belong to the manager, but the building is still there. Even now, after all these years, I still drive past the store. I try not to look at the store, no matter how much I feel their eyes on me.